Within the last hour, President Donald Trump wrapped up comments to reporters alongside Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. President Trump had a lot of words of support for the prince. He calls him, quote, an extremely respected man and a friend of mine for a long time, closed quotes. In the plural, where the two discuss Saudi investment in the U.S., and the Crown Prince says he will help the U.S. and Iran reach a deal. Also coming up during that meeting, the 2018 killing, as we've talked about, of Wall Street journalist and human rights activist Jamal Khashoggi. Breaking moments just a minute ago from that journalist's wife, widow now, posted on social media. Here's what she had to say. There's no justification to murder my husband. While Jamal was a good, transparent, and brave man, many people may not have agreed with his opinions and desire for freedom of the press. The Crown Prince said he was sorry, so he should apologize, meet me and apologize and compensate me for the murder of my husband. So a lot to talk about here. Obviously, very quick reaction. So let's talk with Middle East reporter Courtney Keeley, who is following this meeting from New York City. So Courtney, is this meeting a sign that this murder must have been forgiven in some way?
Or dismissed. I mean, President Trump just said things happen. Some people liked him, some people didn't. And then he covered many other topics. Now I can tell you this was the wife of Khashoggi, but he also had a fiancé, and the fiancé was waiting outside the embassy when he went in, and he never came out. So there has always been a large discussion in the last 7 years to keep his memory alive and to point the finger at the Saudis, in particular the Crown Prince. Now, Mohammed bin Salman has really moved past the pariah state. We're just seeing the pomp and the pageantry, the red carpet, the horseback, the flyover. At one point, President Trump had his hand on the small of his back. So there couldn't be more support by the U.S. for the Crown Prince. It's more than we've ever seen before. It's built from the first term of President Trump and now. And he really clearly has made his point that he doesn't have any time to bring up the Khashoggi murder. Now, at the time, the Turks were incensed. The world was reacting to this, and it was grisly, and it happened with an acid bath and a bone saw, and I'll leave it at that. But the CIA had done an investigation, the Turks had pointed their finger, but there was never any prosecution, so he's definitely moved past this.
And would you say that the relationship between President Trump and the Crown Prince has a lot to do with money? $600 billion going in by the end of what we heard there live from the Oval Office, a commitment of up to $1 trillion in the United States by the Saudi government.
Right. So what's committed and what's reality is two different things. Now, clearly, the Saudis have oil and the Saudis have money. But Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman also has a domestic audience and they have a cash crunch right now. So whether they're going to be able to donate all this money to rebuild Gaza, I mean, they'll clearly be behind it, but we'll have to see the devil in the details later on. So watch like the F-35s announcement. F-35s, the problem with the technology of an F-35 is you don't want Iran or China or Russia to get your hands on that. The idea that they'd have them immediately and be able to protect themselves with F-35s, that's about 7 years down the road, if that even happens. And President Trump, in the last minute of his first administration, had said that he made a deal with the UAE for F-35s, and that never came to fruition. So between cybersecurity, between F-35s, between commitments for cash, as we talked about, there's going to be a lot. Whether we see that actually happen and what comes to fruition is a completely different story. And some of the deals that were made in the spring have not actually happened yet. So there'll be a lot to parse out after the big, black tie dinners and tomorrow's conference about finance.
Watching it all with years of reporting experience there in the Middle East, Courtney Keeley, always great to talk to you.